Hey now, you gonna do it? Do it.
How are you now?
We are coming at you from the studio here on Main Street in Sheridan, Wyoming, and the guest on this episode is one of my favorite people in the whole wide world, Scott Haynes. So some of you guys know Scott from the Ace the Bison book that Scott illustrated and put his mind behind, and he did about 90% of the work. I did about 2, and the editor did about 8. So
Fair enough. Yep.
So, no, the Ace the Bison book, we're going to talk about that, but this is not a kid's show. We are not going to be reading the book. This is going to be adult conversation with Scott, and we're going to talk about your life. We're going to talk about the books. We're going to talk about how you got into art. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff here, but this will be a colorful conversation. This isn't us reading a copy of Ace the Bison or any of his Rhodey the Ranch Dog books. That's stuff that we'll do down the road for kids. This is not a kid's show. So just to give that warning out. Scott, welcome to the studio.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
Absolutely.
Good to see you. You look great.
You look great. Even though right when you walked in the coffee shop upstairs, he's like, God, you look skinny. But it wasn't like I look skinny like, man, you're ready to go to the beach. It was like, you look skinny like, are you okay? Are you sick?
You look skinny, and what is your secret? I'd like to know it because I need some help.
Stress. That's my
So I got some Slim Fast here.
There you go. With some caffeine in it. No, welcome to the show. We've been talking about doing this for a long time. And I'm going to start with, how you and I kind of met. We met just through social media and chatting and talking. I had been following and watching the books. You and I ended up talking, and for me, I'll talk a few minutes about myself here, and then I'm done because people have been listening to me on social media for a long time. I don't want to run my mouth. People are tired of me.
Disagree.
So, for me as a kid, I was not a good student, and it wasn't a learning disability or anything like that. I just was antsy. I was hyper. I was a little bit anti-authority in the sense that I just didn't want to sit in a classroom for 8 hours a day, and that started early on in my life. I don't think there's a problem with that. I don't think there's a problem with kids like that. I think we tend to go overboard and say, hey, the person that's super imaginative and hyper and, doesn't want to sit still in his seat has some kind of issue with them. I think that's totally normal for certain people. They just need to find their focus in life. And for me, absolutely, I grew up in what's a large area now, but I grew up south of Kansas City in a pretty small school district that got huge. But at that time, it was a big deal. And I think for a lot of people that are my age, 45 or 35 to 55, whatever, or beyond that, the book fair. That was one of those things. You saved up money, or your parents, if you were lucky enough, your parents gave you money, and you had that one day of the year where it was book fair, and you could buy any of the books you want. There's tables laid out. You went in the library. There's other places in the cafeteria. They had all these books set up, and that was it for me. Like, book fair for me was absolutely an awesome day or couple days or sometimes even longer than that to buy books. And you and I had that conversation, and I said one of the things that I would like to do moving forward to have more of a positive effect on people in my life is take positive things in my past that I really enjoyed and try and create stuff like that for other people. And that was one of the things, and it was a book. That's how we met, started talking art, started talking the book, and this happened pretty quickly. I think it did.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm going to introduce, I'm going to let you take it. I already introduced you, Scott Haynes, but I'm going to let you kind of take it over from there. One of the things that I like to start doing on this show is start with your first job. What was your first pay job that you ever had? How old were you? What was your first pay job? Let's start there, and we'll get to where we're at right now today.
Wow. My first pay job is probably wrestling calves for Colgate Robinson. That name probably doesn't mean anything to you.
It sounds great. It sounds like the guy was carrying a double barrel shotgun on a stagecoach.
He probably did at some point. But when you're little guys, during the summer, you try to hit all the brandings, and he didn't pay a lot. He took taxes out even over a $12 check, but nothing wrong with that. But
it sounds like Buster Frierson, who told me I'll pay you $10 an hour and that's it, nothing more, nothing less. You can start tomorrow, work 80 hours a week, or work 1 hour a week.
Exactly.
That's it. Sorry.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that deal.
So Colgate, you're working?
Yeah. So we went up there, and you know, and I grew up in Northeast Montana, and in that country, my best friend at that time started driving probably by himself, probably 11 or 12. So we all hopped into his pickup and headed up to Colgate's, and we all, you know, we'd brand and we'd wrestle and brand, and you know, at the end of the day, we'd get our check.
I'm going to interrupt you a few times here, but I can't imagine a group of 11-year-olds, unless it was in ranch country, because I see it occasionally, but I can't imagine your average 11-year-old in America piling in with 5 of their buddies or 4 of their buddies on a ranch truck.
We might have been 12, but he was already driving. He was already driving grain trucks for his dad. You know, his dad would run the combine, or his grandpa would run the combine, and he'd be driving next to him, filling, you know, dumping the hopper into his truck, and of course he'd go dump it, and so he'd been driving. He'd been driving probably since he was 9 or 10 years old, probably, you know, around the place. Yeah, he had a pretty big farm. Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, that was probably my first paying gig, really. And then it, you know, got worse after that.
Yeah, you get downhill. So you kind of went on, where did art come into your life?
Art was always.
Where and why?
Art was always a piece of my life. You know, I from everything from drawing cows to drawing dogs, of course, to drawing Spider-Man. I really like comic books. I like the brightness. I like all the different artists that would take over the book at different times. I know this is nerd talk with Scott Haynes.
More often than not, people that listen to this are hidden nerds. They might, you know, I think this is the stuff that I want people to hear. So they'll appreciate your books and your artwork more, I think, hearing the nerd stuff. I do. And
one constant thing that was, you know, that was on our fridge, it was on my grandpa's fridge, you know, my grandma, and I guess he'd been my step grandpa. It's a complicated story, but good man. Anyway, on their fridge, you always had Ace Reed cartoons. Those little, you clip them out of the Phillips County News, the local paper, and it's a little single panel, Ace Reed, cowpokes, and everybody had one on their fridge. And I idolized that guy. I'm like, man, this guy's really doing it. You know, he made characters that looked like people I knew. He drew horses the way I wanted to draw them, the big noses, you know, and the skinny legs, and they're always a little on the edge of starvation, his cows and stuff. So that's kind of where it all started, as far as my love of like cowboy cartooning, is, I guess, for lack of a better word. So I was always drawn, but I also like Conan the Barbarian. So I draw a lot of Conan too.
You from the movie?
From the movie, of course.
Yes.
Arnold.
Yes.
You know? So and
kill me now. Draw the picture now.
We need to get Trump out
now.
Get out. And
let's just do the rest of the podcast in Arnold voices.
No matter how terrible they are.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
We're good.
As long as you go, you're good.
Kill me now. Get to the chopper. I love it.
So I was really into that. So, of course, I'd have Conan, and then he'd have a bunch of fat cows around him. You know, didn't make any sense. Spider-Man's over here.
Conan with a blue healer.
Yeah.
Like a goofy
he's sending his
healer.
dog over there, and he's all TRT'd out. But,
yes.
Anyway, so I always drew. And so I wasn't a good student either.
Yeah, you and I have talked about that a little bit.
I wasn't a big reader. I could read all right, but I didn't enjoy it. I didn't like it.
Yeah, it's exact. And I always say I wasn't a good student. I was a good student, and I think you were the same way. And the people that you could lump into that group, I was a good student at other stuff. For me, I was a good student at being outdoors with my dogs on a dirt bike when I got home.
Yeah,
that's when my mind opened up. It's like you talking about drawing. Like, that's when my mind opened up, and I soaked in every single thing I saw or heard. I couldn't do it in school, though.
Right.
So you picked up drawing, and drawing became an escape. Like, not
I drew and doodled more than I listened.
Gotcha.
And I wasn't that good of a student, really. Wasn't that smart of a kid. I mean, I'll admit it, but yeah, drawing was always something, and it was always something I could do that always got a laugh. Like I'd put that same best friend that was driving us around back roads when he was 11. I'd draw him in some predicaments, maybe with sheep or something, and then I'd slide it over to him.
Yes.
And he'd burst out laughing. So and off to the office we'd go. But
so great.
But it was always constant.
I just imagine the movie Superbad. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah.
Where Jonah Hill has he just can only draw penises. That's it.
Yeah.
Excuse the language if you're listening.
Yeah. Don't say penis.
Yeah. So, but I just can't imagine you just drawing some over and over just to get a laugh out of me. I can't control myself. I got to draw.
Just got to draw you with sheep. I have to. You're my best friend. You drive me around all day. This is what you get.
Yes.
I'm not going to give you gas money. You get it, you and a sheep.
And this age was middle school, high school?
Yeah.
Both?
Yeah, I started doing the sheep thing probably closer to freshman, sophomore year.
We're just going to refer to it as the sheep thing.
The sheep thing. He knows what it is.
If you know, you know.
He knows. He knows what he did.
From Manhattan or L.A., you probably don't know what the sheep thing is.
Allegedly, this happened.
But that was high school too?
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep. So, and I'd... like further into high school, and I started getting. I was always pretty critical of myself. People, they would say, "God, these are great, and you should do this. You should go work for Disney and stuff like that." And of course, I thought that was super ridiculous because I don't want to move to California. I understand now what they were saying was they were giving me a compliment,
right?
But in my head, I'm like, first of all, I'm not good enough to go work for Disney. Second of all, I don't want to draw somebody else's characters. And I don't want to be stuck in a room 10 hours a day under fluorescent lighting. I want to be outside. I wanted to be a stuntman. I didn't want to be a cartoonist
sitting with with a light board and a cubicle somewhere.
Exactly.
Drawing.
And I didn't want to move out of Montana ever.
Right.
Like Disney's not Montana. I don't want to go. I don't want to leave.
Yeah.
So but yeah,
no formal art school or classes at this time other than the stuff you would regularly get in school.
Just stuff that I thought was cool.
Yeah.
Of course, you emulate it. I didn't want to copy it because I wanted to do my own thing. So it's kind of a mixture between, you remember those, we're the same age, like those Calvin and Hobbes books. You remember Calvin and Hobbes?
Yep, absolutely.
And of course, the Far Side.
Far Side.
Calvin and Hobbes.
I probably bought every single Far Side book ever made that he put out for probably 10 good years of my life. If it came, I would have my mom drive me to the bookstore to buy the new Far Side books when they came out. I was obsessed with it.
So Far Side, Calvin and Hobbes. I was really into Bloom County.
Yep.
I didn't get a lot of the cartoons, but I liked the artwork. I liked the way Berkeley breathed. I think that's his name. Anyway, I liked how he drew. But then I also liked Ace Reed, too. So I want to stick them all together. But I was also a fan of Charlie Russell.
Yep.
So I wanted to throw some of that in there. So I copied a lot of his watercolor techniques, if I ever did stuff like that for family or whatever. So I stuck all that stuff, jumbled it up, and hopefully I knew that I wasn't going to go very far from copying somebody else's stuff. So if I take all that stuff and make my own thing, it's probably going to do something. Right? So anyway, I hope I did that. So I tried to establish my own style. The big bug eyes. I know those aren't my thing, but I mean, hopefully I've accomplished that. Is my point.
Well, which is oddly enough a huge genre like right now in art, tattoos.
Right.
Art new school is what I believe the cool kids call it now, is new school. But it's exaggerated. It's these tattoos with bright colors, exaggerated eyes. I learned that on Ink Masters, which is a TV show about tattooing people. It's a competition.
I'm familiar.
Okay.
I have a television.
18 seasons.
I do not live under a rock.
Yeah. I did. I didn't know what Ink Masters was.
Have you heard of Survivor? They're on this island.
A buddy of mine works for the Survivor crew, so he every season. So I know Survivor, but I didn't know anything about Ink Masters. I didn't even understand that existed, which is odd because I'm covered in tattoos. But I didn't know, and I got fascinated with it. I was at a position at somebody's house, and they were watching it, and like 7 episodes later at like 2 in the morning, I'm like watching these artists battle back and forth, giving each other tattoos, and it was just fascinating to me because, man, you're not drawing a picture on a piece of paper.
That's it.
They've done, and I watched some people do some pretty. Long story short, I was watching this new school, and it's alien characters and this, that, and the other thing, but it's a lot of stuff you've been doing for your style for a long time. So maybe you're the guy that set the trend. Maybe you are the king of new school. And nobody knows it.
School.
There you go. Your new nickname.
I'm gonna put that on my plate.
King of new school. Can you get that on a license plate in Wyoming? How many letters?
Maybe just king. Somebody else probably has that. The king.
King. Hey, now. So for you, art, no formal classes or anything. You leave high school. Where does it go from there? And I don't want to put you on the spot, but what we're leading up to is the most fascinating. You, to me, are one of the most fascinating human beings I've met in the last 10 years. And I've met a lot of people, a lot of weirdos, a lot of fascinating people. You might be the coolest weirdo of them all. Because nowadays, when I call you or text you, you're like, hey, man, I'm in a 8,000 million pound truck moving 50,000 million pounds of coal. Can I call you back tonight? Or you're doing something, you're just, it's just, anyway, I'm not going to steal the wind here from me. I kind of just did, but I want to get to that point to explain to people here the way I know you you work, 9 months out of the year, you work 60 to 80 hours a week in a blue collar job, in a blue collar industry, and you love it and you do a good job at it, but you also come home to a family with a lot of kids. And you still find time and you're more often than not harassing me. Hey man, I need this. Can you look at this and edit this? Can you tell me if there's any changes? I don't have half the stuff going on in my life that you do, and you still find time to do this, which is, to me, remarkable. My brain just isn't capable of processing what you do.
So yeah, we'll go back to, we'll stick a pin in that, circle back around.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to do.
But yeah, currently, I work for a chunky company that does roustabout work as well. And yeah,
explain that to people who are not from this region of the country.
A lot of oil field work. Mainly, I'm a truck driver. I'm a CDL truck driver. I haul a lot of production water. I go to the tank batteries and I collect all that water that's been taken off the oil. Blah blah blah. Load it up, get rid of it. So I drive tankers, semi pulling tankers, oil field roads, which aren't always ideal. Sometimes they'll pull me off and they'll make me go trip pipe, which is not my favorite thing to do. I'd rather get some windshield time and stuff. But I haul excavators and haul backhoes and run backhoes and stuff like that. So it's hard to find time to do, first of all, Rody the ranch dog and Ace the bison. But who's complaining, right?
Right.
My kids go to bed fairly early, and then, I got to have, take care of my kids, take care of my wife, make sure the dog shit's picked up. You know what I mean? Just little things. Fix the sink. But anyway, you got to make time.
Yes.
So I graduated 17 because I'm super smart or super young.
AP.
And then I'm basically Doogie Howser.
Yeah, you already had a college degree by the time you left high school.
Yeah. And I earned my doctorate when I was 24. No, so I graduated high school 17. Get a job with it's called the Seiko D-High. It's a feed. And you can bring in your grain and wheat and stuff. We'll clean it for you. And it's a hardware store, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it's outside of Seiko. So I get a job there. One of my other best friends I grew up with, he was heading to Billings, and he goes, hey, I'm going to try college. And I go, oh, yeah, good luck with that. He goes, come on, I need somebody to help pay rent.
Have fun. See you in about 6 months.
So I go, yeah, that sounds fine. I don't care. Both my brothers I have two older brothers. They had already moved to Billings by that time. So I'm like, yeah, I'll go up there. How hard could it be? I can get a job anywhere. So moved there for about 8-9 months. Moved back home. Got on with a large animal vet out of Glasgow. And for the longest time, I wanted to be a veterinarian. Didn't have the grades at that time, didn't have the stick-to-itiveness, which is, if you don't have the grades, if you have some tenacity, you could probably power through.
Right.
I didn't have any of that at that age. So I come back home.
So I'm going to interrupt you, because that's kind of the first time you pointed to your fascination and your love of animals. So you've kind of always had that, always wanted to do something in the animal field. You always want to be around animals. Hence, Rhodey the ranch dog, Ace the bison, other stuff we've talked about.
Let me go way back.
Yeah, please do.
Grew up on a farm and ranch.
Yep.
North of Saco, right on the Milk River. Had a nice little spot. Right across from where my dad grew up. So my dad comes back from Vietnam. He's stationed at Benning. My mother is from Buena Vista, Georgia originally. Lives in Columbus. So that's where they meet. And so 2 months of dating, hanging out. My dad's like, well, I'm heading north. My mom's 19, my dad's like 22. And he goes,
so
you wanna? She's like, oh, I do. I so do.
So your dad's fresh Vietnam, boom, right away, middle of the war.
Boom, send him to, Benning. I think he drives for a colonel is his job. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
I need to do better as a son and, figure all that stuff out.
Yeah.
But as far as like certain stories I can, scrap together.
So classic lower enlisted military guy comes back, falls in love. 2 months later, hey, let's spend our life together.
Let's split.
Let's head up north.
She's like, yeah, that sounds good.
Love it.
It's
America.
It's late December. My mother's from Georgia. She goes to northern Montana in late December.
Awesome. So
70 degrees. She didn't start crying immediately, but she started crying about halfway through the trip. She's like, we're going to die.
As it went from 70 degrees to 60 to 50 to 40 to 30 to 20.
And I'm exaggerating. My mother's very strong lady. She probably cried a little bit.
Yeah.
So they get to Saco, which is like I was saying, it's about 400 people.
Yeah.
Might have been a little more than that at that time. Ag community.
But classic
farm ranch.
Downtown, tiny Main Street.
You got Highway 2.
Silos everywhere.
You got Main Street along Highway 2. You got those street lights, and then that's about it. So they crest this hill, and my mom says, oh, was that the airport? My dad kind of laughs. He goes, no, that's the town. And then we're going north of that. So you see where there's absolutely no lights? Great. So anyway, my grandpa, he had a few cows, had some farmland. My dad comes back, gets out of the Army, brings this new wife home. They have they build a place. He starts adding to my grandpa's herd. He starts buying, they buy some farmland. So I'm born into this pretty good sized farm and ranch operation. Life is good. I love, in my head, I'm a cowboy, I'm a farmer. So that stuff's not what I wanted to be. I always wanted to be a stuntman. So, because I already thought I was a rancher. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The mid 80s happened. I'm not an economist. I don't know enough about Reaganomics to comment on it, but a lot of ranches and farms, a lot of families lost those in the mid 80s to late 80s, and we were one of those. So my love, but I got to see calves pulled. I got to work cows. We were horseback all the time. Of course, we had motorbikes and three-wheelers and stuff like that.
Three-wheel. Wow.
Big, fat tire three-wheelers.
Three-wheelers. At that time, which is actually built the safest all-terrain vehicle ever made.
Just don't go on an incline like this, because you'll go.
Or turn faster than 5 miles an hour.
Remember those fat cats? They were a motorbike, but they had those huge
big fat tires. They're back. They're outside of Tractor Supply right now for $700.
That's
which I think.
Trap. Let's go get some.
They're $700. I think you could get one of those for $80 in 1986.
Maybe.
But yeah, they're back. The fat tire bikes are back. Little minis. They're awesome. So
anyway, that started my whole love of. That's where my love of like drawing cowboys and stuff, along with Conan.
Conan and the cowboy.
So that's my love of cowboying and all that stuff. So I'm 12 years old. One morning I'm feeding cows, next morning we're moving, kind of forgot where I was going with that. But what I'm saying is I never needed anything. My dad got a job at a gold mine, actually, south of Malta, and it was about 70 miles away from our house. So we drove that every day, worked 12 hours a day, underground. And anyway, got in with a mining company. I never needed anything ever in my life. My mom got a job in Malta, working at the old folks home. And anyway, my point is that we didn't really, as kids, we didn't see the dip, which I'm sure there was. I'm sure it was hard on my folks.
I'm sure there was in your dad's brain when he was driving 70 miles a day to
exactly.
work 100 hours a week.
One way and then 70 miles back. He'd have to
you guys didn't notice it because you're...
I never noticed anything. I never needed anything.
Yeah.
My parents, they just worked their asses off. So all's well, I had a great childhood. 2 parents who loved me, 2 parents who loved each other. And they always worked, and I was never hungry. And but I forgot where I was going with that. So the point is, I guess, that's where my love of like animals and stuff started.
Yeah,
so I always considered myself, I wouldn't consider myself a cowboy now, but I put the time in, from 0 to 12, I did all that. And I was lucky enough, my grandpa stayed on the place. And so I got to fence with him a lot in the summers. And in that country, if you're going to work in the summer, you got to work for a farmer or rancher around that place. You can't go to Home Depot. I mean, there's nothing in town. I mean, really. So you got to work for those people. So I farmed for people. If anybody needed cows worked, I helped work cows. So that's what we did for work. But anyway, so I get on with the vet in Glasgow. I moved back from Billings. I get on with the vet in Glasgow. It's 50 miles east of Saco. Drive there. It was a large animal vet. It was what mainly they hired me for. It was preg checking season. We'd preg check cows. I'd vaccinate them. I worked with the vet. And that was a tremendous job. I love that. I mean, it was just the best. So you're gonna see a common theme through all this, where I don't really stick to one thing too long.
Story of my life,
ever,
and that's okay.
So
seriously, that's okay. I literally have this conversation routinely that you don't have to be somebody who sits in the same place and has the same. It's okay to try different things, and if you fail, you try something else. Like I think a lot of people really get tied down to, I got to be good at this, I got to have this, I got to have that, and like not to switch gears and make this about myself, but I've tried a lot of stuff and I failed at a lot of stuff, or I've just got tired of a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
and that's okay. And I want people to listen to this, because again, where we're headed with this is, you have a job that puts food on your table, and you have a passion that puts fuel in your heart. Like, it's, to me, I want more people. You hesitated. You didn't want to come on the podcast. I've asked you 5 times, and then you finally said, sure, I'll do it. I'm here. But I want people to realize that, because there's so many people I know that are so freaking good at, whether it's drawing, whether it's bow hunting, whether it's doing anything. And it's like, hey, you can have a job that pays your bills and that you like and you enjoy, but you also need to have some stuff in your life that you have to fuel. You have to fuel those passions. For me, it's bison. I will figure out a way always to have bison in my life, always to have my own bison, even if it's one on my property here in Wyoming next to my cabin. I will have one, or I'll have 1,000 maybe someday. But and I went off the rails here, but that's important. I think when people, if something doesn't work, it's okay to try something else. You don't have to go to college and get a job and stay there for 40 years. Is that safe? Is that comfortable for some people? Do they enjoy it? Does it fuel their life? It does. But if you're not like that, don't try and fit that mold. You're never going to see me in a suit at a corporate job ever in my entire life, because I wouldn't like it. What's your take on that? I just talked, like, what's your take? You just said it. You notice a common theme that I don't stick for one thing. How do you feel about that?
Let's fast forward about 16 years. Okay. I'm working at the city of Billings. Shout out to PUD, go blue. Public utilities. So I'm working there.
Public utilities.
And it's the
shout out. Hey,
it's
now.
the water and sewer department.
Hey, now.
Shout out to the pipe bursting crew, which is what I was on. Shout out to JR and Skilly.
Hey, now.
Hey, how are you now? So I super comfortable.
Yeah.
Super comfortable there. My parents, long story short, they had moved to Missoula. My dad got in with an exploratory drilling company started at general labor. He's mid 40s. Outworks all these 19, 20-year-olds coming home from school to get this job, make some extra money for college. So my dad outworks, this is long story longer. So my dad outworks all these kids, becomes a foreman, becomes the guy running the rig, the exploratory drilling rig. Long story short, he winds up in the head office, which is in Missoula, Montana. So my mom and dad moved to Missoula.
So your dad is the guy that we need to call if there's an asteroid coming to Earth and we have to break it up.
Yeah,
is that what you're saying?
With Steve Buscemi and the gang.
Sorry.
No.
I can't not make jokes when I'm around you because people, if you're listening to this, Scott's always smiling no matter what he's talking about. He could tell you he just ran over your puppy dog in your driveway and he was smiling. Maybe that's
that would wreck me.
That's a little bit too far.
That would wreck me. I've seen too many dogs get run over.
I'm making jokes because your sense of humor and who you are, but people listening to this are probably like, Bert, you're being a total a-hole.
What a dick.
So your dad's killing it.
So my dad's the guy, all right, he gets in the main office.
Yeah.
They moved to Missoula, my parents. So my dad's the guy getting the jobs all around the United States, Mexico, goes to Greece. He's putting on presentations. And this is just a farm and ranch guy, veteran.
Gold miner.
Now he's doing exploratory drilling presentations in front of hundreds of people. Multi-million-dollar companies who want to hire them to find these mineral in this mountain. I know there's silver in there, whatever.
Yeah.
So he's the guy. So anyway, that gives you a little insight to who my dad was. And my mom goes, and they got a nice house in Missoula, or outside of Missoula, I should say, on the way to Arley. And they're living the dream, right? Okay, so I'm in Billings. And anyway, long story even longer. I just wanted to explain how my folks are doing. They were doing fine.
No, and I'm glad you did. It's important to me,
so
specifically. And
I want to stick a pin in that.
Yes.
But
I'm glad you did.
Move forward.
Because real quick, it's specifically to me. One of the worst conflicts we've been involved in because the way veterans were treated was the Vietnam conflict. So when I hear stories, you always hear the heartfelt, sad story about Vietnam veterans, but there's a lot of Vietnam vets that came back and they got spit on, they got shit on, they got pushed aside, and they came back and they just worked. There's a lot of Vietnam veterans like your dad who just came back and hammered it out. They put their uniform in the closet and they just hammered it out.
It always struck me because, he talked a little about it here and there. You catch little snippets.
Yep.
And he didn't not talk about it ever, you know what I mean? But he would talk about it every now and then. And one thing that always struck me, he goes, Vietnam is a very pretty country, he said. He says, really green hills. He said, Vietnam is very pretty. And it always struck me. I'm like, geez, people were shooting at you and you were shooting people and he's infantry. And anyway, I just thought that always stuck with me. Like, yeah, that's my dad. All right.
Yeah. It sounds
like
a
pretty country.
It sounds like it.
So, but anyway, I was talking about PUD. Shout out to PUD, JR, Skilly, everybody, all the gang, the old crew.
I'll tag them.
So a cousin of mine lives in Newcastle, Wyoming.
Great town. Just drove through it yesterday. Sorry I didn't call.
I know. Hurts a little bit. She goes, she worked at the school. She goes, I was single at the time and been through some tumultuous relationships in my time in Billings. All great people. I was horrible. All great women, great humans. Shout out. No, I'm just kidding. They're not my wife, that's for sure. She's a wonderful, wonderful human. So my cousin sends me this Facebook, says you should, this gal's super nice, she's super cool. So I'm in Billings. I have this comfortable job. I'm doing okay. I'm roofing houses on the weekend, Monday through Friday. I'm at the city. So Saturday and Sunday, I'm with my friends. We're roofing houses. And
you're bringing home some coin too. Like it's a job in Billings.
Billings is expensive. Yeah. So Monday through Friday, I'm paying for my bills, and then on Saturday and Sunday, we're roofing houses.
Paying for beer.
10 hours a day. Try not to spend all your money on beer. It's socks money. It's extra. It's gas. But yeah, we drink a lot of beer. Shout out to Jeff and Troy, Travis. But we roofed a lot of houses. But anyway, I digress. So I get this Facebook request. It's from this pretty brunette. And and me being me, you know, I've been at this job longer than I've been at any job.
Yeah.
It was probably 6 years or something. Everybody's like, geez. Like, yeah. So I'm like,
I'm laughing because Carrick, our sound engineer, is in the background laughing his butt off too. This is great.
So she lives in Wyoming. I'm like, ugh, I don't want to go to Wyoming. Nothing against Wyoming. Wyoming's been very good to me. But I'm like,
I'm a Montana guy, man. I don't want to go to Wyoming.
I could take some time off, I guess. I'm gonna go visit this gal. So I drive down to Newcastle one day. We have I guess it's a date. You know, we just hang out. And, well, this is pretty cool. I go back to Billings, you know, I'm doing trudging through my week as always, you know.
But now you got
bored.
But now you got something in the back of your head.
Yeah, you know, it's like a dog. He runs off every now and then. You don't see him for 2 weeks.
And he comes back.
But anyways, so I'm like, man, and me being me, I think I'll just go to Wyoming for a while, you know.
Yeah.
Never intending on.
But why not?
And see if it works out with this gal. I like her. She's beautiful. Very smart. I'm not really doing anything. So everybody's, well, you had this career. You left a career. I guess it's a career. It's not a really career.
6 years is a
start. It was
a career.
It's a great job. I enjoyed it. It's very easy to do. I mean, let's be honest. I roofed houses on the weekend and I relaxed Monday through Friday, you know?
Yeah.
Like, how do you guys work 7 days a week? Well, we work for the city. I don't care how that sounds. I work there. So I moved to Newcastle, fully intending on heading back to Billings after, 5 months after it doesn't work out, when she finds out I'm a psycho. And I'm horrible to live with. We weren't living together, obviously, but, so I moved to Newcastle, and, here I sit a decade later, 3 beautiful children.
Yeah. And your wife's great.
Yeah. She's fantastic.
Yeah.
She's way better than me.
They're all way 100% agree with that.
Oh man.
Ridiculous. Yeah, you guys, when you come up, she's not with you today, but when she comes into the shop and she's got all the whole fire team with her, you know, it's just, man, it's just awesome. And you, on top of all the stuff you do, you know, one of the things I follow you on social media regularly, and I think, you know, Rhodey the Ranch Dog is the account you use more than anybody, or anything, but man, you guys turn and burn on the weekends. Like, if you're not working, you guys are hiking 10 miles, you're on the river, you're in the woods, you're on the mountain. Like, it's crazy to watch. I don't know how you have the energy to do it. Like,
super important.
I know it is for you. I watch it. And I see a lot of people like that. I don't have kids yet, but you know, it's fun to watch because you guys literally, if you're not illustrating, doing books, working 100 hours a week at your other job, the minute you have any time off, you got the whole fire team on your back, both of you guys, and you're out in the mountains in Wyoming or in the Dakotas or wherever, Montana, it doesn't matter. You guys are rocking and rolling, which it's fun again to see you be able to go, hey, this stuff is all important. My family is way more important.
Well, what am I doing all this for?
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, if I neglect them, sometimes I have to neglect them during the week to do this.
Yeah.
But this is all for them. It's not for me. It's so I can do stuff with them.
Right.
You know, I've always been thankful to have a job. I was going to say I've never taken a job for granted, but that's not true. I was, kind of a flighty, just kind of a contrarian. I'm going to go over here. I'm not going to give you 2 weeks. I'm out of here. I'm tired of building pallets, which I did in Billings. I delivered milk. I was a ditch rider for a couple of years. But anyway, I was always thankful to be paying my bills, but it was just like, it was always meh. But
not a good place to be, and I think a lot of people get there, and meh turns into driving to work and not enjoying your job if you're not careful.
Sunday evenings, if your Sunday evenings suck, then you got to do something.
Candace and I laughed about it for so long because she doesn't have it anymore, but for a long time, she dreaded her Sunday evenings. It was like me as a kid having anxiety because I had to go back to school. And I wasn't picked on or bullied or anything like that. School was okay for me. Yeah. You know, I was okay. I could hold my own one way or the other. I was friends with cool people. I was friends with not cool people. I didn't have social anxiety.
Right.
I didn't having to go sit somewhere. But my point is, anything you do in life, if Sunday night for you have anxiety about your life, man, you need to hit the pause button and go, I got to change this.
Yeah.
And this is America, and you can change that.
And it's hard to do.
It's super hard because
it's
you gotta
hard
pay the bills.
because everybody goes, well, I mean, the energy bills coming in, our cell phones are coming in. We got to get groceries, and it's honorable. It's absolutely honorable to work at those jobs where you show up, be there on time.
Yeah.
Latest you can be is on time. You get half-hour lunch or whatever, and then you clock out at a certain time. You know what I mean? That's super honorable, and I get all that. But I never felt not fulfilled, because that sounds pompous and like an asshole, but I just like doing these.
Just like you.
I am both of those things. A huge narcissist, and I'm great.
Yeah.
But I mean, I want to jump out of bed, and I want to just be excited about what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I've done that so much in my life, been miserable, sitting in my pickup, hunched over. It's still dark out, going to some job I didn't like.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's like I said, it's honorable people that get up and do that every day, and I still get up and do that
and I
every
think,
day.
but there's also this mentality in America that you got to do that, and that's what I'm trying to get people to break is
rise.
And I'm not talking about your story or mine, but that's how my dad did it. That's how my grandpa did it. I just have to do it. I've had this conversation a lot lately. It is okay to break the tradition of, and the Army was the worst at it. This is how it was done. This is how you have to do it. You can break that tradition. Your kids can have a better life than you. It doesn't mean they're spoiled. It doesn't mean they're entitled. Anybody's kids or the generation after you can go, hey, people beat up on millennials or not, but if you look at millennials, it's, they've gone through 4 different wars, 4 different war zones, the craziness of these presidents, politics. There's not been a harder generation, I don't think, for 80 years in this country. Millennials are battling it out, but where I'm going with that is you don't have to do that. You can break the cycle and say, hey, you know what? I don't like this job. It's not what I want to do. But you also have to be forward facing and say, okay, I'm going to give up fast food, booze. I'm going to give up some other things, or I'm going to save some money, or I'm going to work 4 freaking jobs like you would do and make that happen. Am I wrong? Like I'm not trying to project on people, but man, happiness is the most important thing in the world.
I think you nailed it. My dad did it. He just plugged away.
Yeah, my dad did
embraced
too.
the suck, I guess is what they say. And my mother did too. I mean, she always worked. So for a long time, I toyed with the idea. I really kind of want to do this cartooning thing, but it's kind of, what am I? My friends are going to think I'm kind of a weirdo, but they all like my cartoons.
Yeah. I don't know anybody that doesn't like them.
And so I'm like, well, I can't be Ace Reed. I'm not really that good a writer to come up with a funny cartoon every week,
right,
to put in the newspaper. And I tried that, and it wasn't very good. Shout out to Billings Livestock Commission, that paper there, Cowboys Digest. I tried to run a cartoon in there, and they were cool enough to go, yeah, let's give it a shot. It's just I wasn't that good of a writer. I could draw okay, but I wasn't that good of a writer to come up with something every month even. I didn't have the stick-to-itiveness. I was busy working, and then when I wasn't working, and let's just have a conversation here. When I wasn't working, I was probably at the bar with my friends.
Which there's nothing wrong with that either.
And if we're going to be honest.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of my time in Billings wasted literally. If I wasn't working, I was at a bar, or we were drinking at our, shitty house that we lived in for $200, but I don't know if you can get a house for $200.
Not in Billings.
$500.
Not anywhere
maybe.
in Montana. Jeez.
So I kept walking by these leaning tree cards, and you've seen leaning tree cards, leaning tree greeting cards.
Yep.
And so a lot of my cartoon heroes are on there. You got your Mike Scovilles and your Ben Cranes and your Boots Reynolds and Bonnie Shields, Tennessee Mule Artist. And so I'm like, I think I can do that, because I've done some cartoons. I've done some Christmas stuff for family. Took them down local Kinko's and have made into cards. And send them out. These are great. You should do this. I'm like, yeah, I guess I could. Yeah, it sounds good.
That was really.
I gotta go. And
that was well rehearsed.
2 words. So I don't remember because there wasn't email. It was like 2000. Or there was email, but I didn't have. What year is this? Yeah, where am I?
So I'd get on my.
So there were. I said, Mabel, click, 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 Mabel.
You got on your ham
Give
radio.
me the Johnson place.
You got on your ham radio.
This is 865-309. So anyway, I get a hold of one of those guys that are on the back of the card.
Yeah.
I find their name. I find out where they live, and I think it was Ben Crane out of Alberta, Canada. So I get a hold of him somehow, and he gets me in touch with another lady, great cartoonist, Bonnie Shields, Tennessee Mule Artist is what she goes by. And anyway, so she writes me a letter and says, we're members of Cowboy Cartoonists International. We're having a rendezvous in Sandpoint, Idaho. Man. And if you'd like to come up, bring your stuff, and we'd like to see it.
Bring your blue tuxedo with the white ruffles. So, like this is going down.
Put on my top hat. Got in the old mutt shags. I don't remember what it's called. What was the name of that van?
From Dumb and Dumber.
I don't. Mutt cuts. What did I say? Shag butts? Yeah. Stupid.
You're
Shaz butts.
Austin Powers.
I was thinking Shaz butt.
Yeah, baby.
So I go to Sandpoint. Blah blah blah. Take my best stuff. So take all my stuff. I didn't have a lot because I wasn't putting the work in.
Yeah.
Right. I kept expecting people knock on my door and say, "Hey, I hear you do cartoons, and I heard they're okay."
So you pretty much showed up with a Trapper Keeper and some 8x11 white paper.
Yeah, one of those pens that has the different colors on the top of it. Blue, yellow, green. So I had one of those. So I go up there, take some of my stuff. So the Leaning Tree reps were up there. I didn't really know that. I just went
scouts,
up there.
Like this
like the main people in Boulder, Colorado. They say yes, no, here's a contract, here's not. You know, they're the main ones.
Yeah.
Trumbull is that family name. So anyway, they're up there. And they buy 4 of my cartoons. They put them on cards. They give me a contract.
Whoa. Like, pump the brakes here. I know you're a humble guy, but this is a big deal. Like, you went from doing, you just threw it in there like, oh, they bought 4 of my cartoons after I've been doing this since I was 5 years old.
They said I was the best artist that they've ever seen
in their
they
life.
Said,
no, but what does that look like? Like, what did you, if you don't mind saying, what did they pay you for 4 of your cartoons?
Quarterly, well, up front, they give you $400 a cartoon. They write you a check.
So you walked away from that with 16. Well,
wait, 4 cartoons?
Yeah, 4 times 4.
Seiko High School, hats off to thee. Shout out to the High Line. Yes. Shout out to Seiko, Montana.
I believe I'm doing the math here. 400 times 4 is $1,600.
I'm just going to have to believe you on that. I'm not going to fact check that at all. But
1,200. You and I need to go into business together.
I think we already have, and I think it's working out. I think it's working out exactly how you're saying. You're eating prime rib, and I barely got bread on my table, feeding my 3 kids. Sorry, guys, no meat tonight. Bert's eating prime rib.
Bert's flying to Vegas for a buffet just to fly back.
I was checking Bert. No wonder he got rid of
Bert's
social
over in
media.
Cody with Kanye West.
Oh, by the way, he went through Newcastle and didn't call any of us. My partner.
I'm sorry, man. I did stop at, and I'm going to shameless plug here, Black Hills Burger and Bun.
So good.
If you're ever in Custer, South Dakota, and you get a chance to eat at Black Hills Burger and Bun,
shout out.
Stop.
So
they have these cheese curds and ranch dressing. They have bison. Every burger they make in bison and beef cow on the menu. Best burger ever. And then I took home to go after eating a huge burger. Carrick was with me. I took home chicken fried steak and mashed potatoes. The next time I'm there, I'll pick you up in Newcastle when we're going to Burger and Bun.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
If I can get away, I mean, I have a lot going on.
So you got $900 for your
So I sold 15 cartoons. I got $8.
$8.
It got me back to Billings.
Scratch-off ticket.
I got they gave me a Reese's Pieces peanut butter cup and a handshake and
So $1,600, which is a
dynamite.
I mean, like for you call Aaron. What did like? Was that a phone call? Like, hey, Aaron, I just sold.
This is in 2000.
So this is before the Facebook and stalking girls on the internet.
This
and
is
then
10 years
creeping
before.
them.
Exactly.
Okay, but for you, it's got to be a big deal. You had to get in your car and go, man, I just made as much money in a few hours of dealing with these people.
And
like it had to be exciting.
It was super exciting, and yeah. So not to bring everything down, but that same year previous,
you got beat up and lost your $1,600 by another artist who bullied you.
And I said, I thought you cartoonists were a bunch of nerds. And this guy was jacked. He goes, my name's Boots Reynolds, and I'm here to kick your ass.
Hey now.
So hey, everybody,
bring it down. You're about to bring it down. I keep interrupting you.
Let's
bring it down.
Let's break it down.
Let's ruin the whole mood here. We're laughing. Make us sad.
I'm not gonna now.
Make me cry.
So it's 2000. So it's a good decade before I ever meet my now wife.
Yeah.
So that's pretty great. I mean, I'm flying pretty high. So what they do is, quarterly, they'll send you a royalty check. And for a while there, I'm getting checks in the mail, and I'm still working who knows what I was doing then. I just jump around, jump up and get down. Wow. Nobody? That guy over there, he gets it.
That guy gets it.
That guy
audience
gets it.
here. I wish we had an audience.
Everlast.
I wish we had an audience track.
And even one of those machines that goes
sound effects, Carrick. That's our new thing. Like we're gonna do sound effects on everything we do.
I'll get you a sound effects button.
Good morning, Vietnam. Well, like Robin Williams with all his sound machines. The next time you're here, everything's gonna get a noise. Everything, fart noises,
love it,
horns, you name it.
You could probably do one of those for me right now.
I'm gonna what's the glute flute? That's what we're gonna call it. Carrick, hit the glute flute. Sorry, I keep ruining your story here. By the way, I've had like 9 cups of coffee, and I only normally have about one a day.
I'd like to refill.
So I am. I'm flying here. So bring it down. Make it sad. Make me cry.
Well, I'm not going to do that because the moment passed.
Friday,
I really don't want to talk
ruin
about
my
it.
weekend.
I don't want to ruin my weekend. But anyway, so I get back to Billings, and then it's kind of the same old. So I'm not. They give me a contract for like 2 years. Submit work to us. And here's the thing, we're probably going to pick it up if it's good enough, right?
Right.
So put the work in.
You screwed this up, didn't you?
Screwed it up.
Oh,
Didn't put the work in.
Scott.
I'd do a thing, and I'd send it. I'd do like one cartoon in like 3 months. I'd send it in, and it gets rejected. So immediately I go, these guys don't know what's funny. They don't know what's good.
It's them, not me.
It's second
them.
to Hallmark.
It's them, not me.
Major greeting card company.
This is the next Family Circus. These people don't know what they're talking about.
Family Circus. I had Billy and his little dashes going on by the tree. And yeah, exactly. It's them, not me.
Yeah.
I wasn't putting in the work. I wasn't making the time.
I'm the king of it's them, not me. Like I should own the trademark.
And I've been rejected. Western Horseman rejected me. I don't know how many times. I have all the letters. Trust me.
Did you save that stuff?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
I got all of it.
Put lipstick on and like.
They're on the list.
They're on the list.
And so, yeah, their time's coming. No, but eventually they did have me illustrate a poem for them. So stick with it. But before that, they rejected me. Jeez, I want to say 12 times. And for some reason, I didn't give them the it's them, not me treatment. But so anyway, I gave Leaning Tree the it's them, not me. But I wasn't doing any work. And I got real petty. I started checking out every Leaning Tree stand that I found. And if there's a new artist on there, I was like,
I'm better than that guy. I'm better than her. I'm better than him.
And I thought,
what does that person have that I don't?
But I got to know one of the guys that I was always like, this is funny. I got something way funnier than that. And they didn't pick it. So I got to know that guy. Super guy, great cartoonist. He was probably doing 30 cartoons a month.
Whoa.
Easily.
$400 a pop?
They didn't pick everyone, or at least I assume. But he was doing the work.
So this guy's driving through Main Street, white Cadillac, bullhorns on the front.
Yeah.
Had
a nudie suit on. Yeah, jacked up on pills and cocaine. Just like my hero, Waylon Jennings. Yeah. Side note, you ever watch, I know you don't watch a lot of TV, but except Ink Masters.
Great show.
Tales of the Tour Bus.
No.
Oh my God, it's the greatest show ever. Have you?
Tales of the Tour Bus.
Tales from the Tour Bus.
Where'd one find that?
Mike Judge does
PBS?
it. Mike Judge from he does it, and he does these interviews, and of course he does them in his cartoons. You know, he has them all animated, but they're real stories. They have Johnny Paycheck and Waylon Jennings, and they do Billy Joe Shaver, and there's still snippets of these guys.
The Wacko from Waco?
Wacko from Waco, yeah, that's exactly right. Anyway, every story, George Jones, every story there's a gun involved, and somebody always gets shot.
I love
these guys.
Billy, there you go.
Anyway, it's the greatest. Anyway, they're all hopped up on pills. All my 70s heroes,
burned,
singers
went down in flames. They're still alive. They're still doing it.
Except Waylon and George Jones and most of them. Willie's sticking around though.
Yeah, he is.
He only did the marijuana cigarettes. You know?
That guy's like he and Keith Richards. We were just talking about this in the car, and we're getting way off track, but I like it.
Terrible band.
But Willie Nelson, man, that guy's. I think he's 114.
He's pretty old.
That guy, and every time I see him in an interview, he's still rocking and rolling. I know he missed some tour dates last year, and it scared me. Like
always has a joke.
Legitimately scared me because that guy puts on a great concert. He's just such a good person.
I saw him in Red Lodge. He played for 3 hours.
Yeah, just such
ridiculous.
A good
He doesn't have to play for 3 hours. He's Willie Nelson.
And the last time I saw
him,
he
can go Whiskey River. All right, good night, everybody.
Dolly Parton's the same way. They don't even have to play, just talk. But did you just say so hot?
Yeah, I'm an American male, aren't I?
Wow.
Dolly Parton?
Wow, your child.
Hey, I beg your Dolly Parton if I hurt your Charlie Pride. This is the dumbest podcast ever.
No, it's great. We needed this. It's Friday.
It is Friday. Happy Friday. Shout out to Friday.
It's Friday. Look, I had fun today.
Have fun.
Yeah.
I still have my sword.
You've pissed on the leaning tree or cut it down. You're done.
It was bad.
Moving on. Those guys suck. They hate me. I didn't do anything wrong. It's all them.
Yep. I mean, I've never been in. I got a real self-sabotaging personality, which I'm recognizing.
It's great.
So it was never narcissism. That it was just me not doing the work and me not admitting I wasn't doing the work. So I wanted to blame somebody, of course, because I'm insecure, or was. But so they don't re-up my contract. They don't ask me to submit anything anymore.
Yeah.
And I submitted some stuff after that. I'm sorry, please take me back. And of course, they never did, and rightly so. I didn't do anything for them. So anyway, I didn't do anything with art for a long time after that. It was probably from 2002 to probably 2012 with Rhodey that I drew a little bit, not a lot, didn't try to do anything with it. I'm like, screw this is dumb. It's not manly. Men don't cartoon. You know what I mean? I'm going to go roof houses and,
occasionally
drive a dump truck.
Occasionally draw a penis on something.
Occasionally draw my friend humping a sheep.
On the company whiteboard after your HR.
I was never the dick drawing guy. It'd have to be more, it'd be a dog pissing on something.
Yeah.
Never a Calvin piss on anything. That's disrespectful.
Which is crazy to me because you and I will talk about something in a text message and you'll illustrate it like that night at 3 o'clock in the morning and it's there. It just, man, it's nuts to me. Sorry, I keep digressing because I absolutely love your work. I really do. I absolutely love your illustrations. To me, have become my favorite. And I'm a comic book guy. Like I am a comic guy. I am a comic book guy. I'm not an artist. You and I have talked about this. I spent probably 7 hours the other night with my laptop here Googling how to draw a prairie dog, and then a notebook for hours trying to draw prairie dogs. And it was.
Did you Google prairie dogging? That might help you. So I wasn't a big reader.
No,
but I read the hell out of comic books.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Which I think made me a pretty good. I was always pretty good in English.
Yeah,
class and spelling and stuff like that because I had to look stuff up. Because I mean, comic books aren't for kids really, unless they're like a Donald Duck comic book.
Mad Magazine wasn't for kids, and I got that and read it.
I love Mad Magazine.
Front to cover to back. Like I waited for that to come.
That's when
magazine. Yeah, that's when it came in the mail, man. I was there. I was on that mailbox every day, like my Mad Magazine's here. And I'd get it and fold the back over, and you get one picture folds into something. Anyway.
So,
to 2012, you finally said, "Hey, it's not masculine, it's not manly." But then you turned the corner and somehow said, "I'm doing this."
So here I am. Fast forward, I'm in Newcastle. I'm with my beautiful wife.
You guys have kids at this time?
We don't. We're married. We're of course gonna, Odin willing, start a family, and it's just lost a bunch of followers.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, it's here.
And we're done.
All right.
Did he just refer to a Norse god? We're done.
The Norse god.
The Norse god.
So there's a bunch of things that kind of happened at once.
Right.
So I'm going to be 40 in a couple of years at this point. Cough, cough. And so I'm kind of freaking out about that. I haven't done anything with this cartooning thing, which has always been the constant thing that I love doing. It brings me joy to do. So at the same time, I'm like, I got to do something with this. I can't do a comic strip. I'm not that good of a writer as far as like funny little things every month, every week.
I'm not that guy. I disagree
but
with you. I know you're probably leading up to what you are now, or you're better at it, but I disagree with you. You've said that to me before, and you're like, I'm not that guy that can pump this stuff out and do the I disagree with you 100%.
I appreciate it.
You can't argue with me, buddy.
But
don't argue with the compliment. Just accept it.
Just accept it.
Me.
No, I'm not.
Soak it in.
That's the me. I'm not
Soak
good enough.
In.
No. So at that same time, around that same time, 2012, okay, Newcastle Elementary is talking about cutting programs. They're talking about cutting art and music. I'm like, shit, if I didn't have art, what would I have? PE lunch? I mean, that's it.
Dude, that's my wheelhouse.
And then, so I talked to one of my buddies who still lives up in Saco. He goes, yeah, the elementary school's talking about doing that here too, or the whole school's together. There's 40 kids in the school. Shout out to Saco High School.
Hey now.
So they were talking about doing the same thing. I'm like, well, shit. I should probably like do a book or something. I'll do it. I'll send it to these two schools, and they'll go, this guy's from here, or this guy's from a small town, and he's how old? And he's still drawing and stuff. So I wanted to do something that would keep kids interested in being creative if their art did go away. And I kind of wanted to do and I was going to visit both schools, and I was going to say, hey, just because you don't have art here doesn't mean you have to stop doing art or stop playing the drums or whatever, music. So that's what got the ball rolling on the kids book. And I'm a dog guy. You're a dog guy. Always been a dog guy. I'm like, well, a ranch dog's a no-brainer. I had a great childhood. Grew up on a farm ranch for most of it.
With dogs.
With dogs.
All the time.
My best friends, that dog we took to Colgate's. We had about 15 dogs in there,
Just rock and roll.
And so we're just, wah! And that's how he drove. And so, okay, ranch dog, no-brainer.
Yeah.
So, and the rest just kind of went along. I'm going to have a rhyming scheme. My wife's a teacher. I go, as far as kids' books go, what's best? It's going to be pretty simple. What's best as far as like writing scheme? She's like, well, if you can rhyme two different words that aren't spelled the same, that's probably the best as far as reading development. So that was another thing I got. So I'm like, okay, I got the building blocks. And then it was just a matter of coming up with roadie. What I initially started to do in that first book, he's in the back of a pickup through the whole thing.
Right.
So, and that's why I called him Roadie, like road trip. So I was going to have him in every book. He was going to go to a different place with the rancher, and he was going to be in the back of pickup and see different things. He was going to go to Yellowstone and stuff and drive around, and that's kind of where he was going to be. He was in the back of the pickup. And then the second book, well, I kind of want him out chasing cows and stuff. So that's where Roadie came from. That's why the first book he's just in the back of the pickup, and then it just evolved from there into more of like my own experiences, pulling calves for the vet, seeing calves pulled, watch my dad pull calves. So I wanted to put a lot of that in there. I didn't want to dumb it down for kids because kids are so much smarter than everybody gives them credit for. So I want to do pretty accurate as far as like pulling a backward calf. So if kids aren't even on a ranch, they can look at that and read it and go, well, what's this all about?
And we talk about that often when we're talking about Ace. Like it has to, like we have to explain it in that sense, so that somebody that has never seen a buffalo or bison in their entire life, same thing, by the way, North American buffalo is a bison. I got to throw that out because somebody asks me every day on social media, messages me or at Bison Union, says, what's the difference between a bison and a buffalo? And I've been telling them now, like my new thing now is that buffalo have 3 horns and bison have 2. The third horn on the buffalo, you just can't see. It's right on their forehead. You just got to feel it. So that's my deal. But explaining that to somebody, people that grow up in Montana, Wyoming, the Dakotas, the region we're in now, know what a bison is. They know what a buffalo is. I think it's important to do stuff for people who live in, because we're so connected now by social media and other means of communication, that a kid that's from Puerto Rico that lives in New York City can somehow get a hold of this book, and it might be the reason that he becomes enamored with bison, because that's how I did. I had to do a report on the Kansas flag, which has a buffalo in the middle of it, and I didn't know what that was in 3rd grade. I didn't know what a buffalo was. I'd never seen one, and that opened my eyes up. So I think that's important, and you do that a lot in your books. And you also add a lot of stuff in the background. Man, it's just awesome. It's my favorite thing in the world.
Going back to Mad Magazine, they did that all the time.
Everything, hidden gems.
Certain cartoonists would. Yep. And speaking of Mad Magazine, Jack Davis, one of the creators of Mad Magazine, you'd recognize his artwork if you don't recognize his name right now. But he always did like the monsters, and he always was real detailed, but real cartoony. Yeah. He was at that Sandpoint, Idaho rendezvous that I went to.
Oh, really?
So I met one of the original creators of Mad Magazine.
Great magazine.
So I was just like floating around that whole time. Here's this cartoonist I love. Here's this guy. Here's the Mad Magazine guy.
Yeah. And I love it. And that's the books. Like I grew up with the Berenstain Bears, like stuff like that, where, there's a little spider in the background or something like that. If you're not looking, you're not going to see it. But if you slow down, you see it. I love that. I love the detail. But so sorry, I keep going down these holes, down these rabbit holes. So you're now at a point where you're going to do a couple books for libraries or for schools, just to kind of help try and push, like, hey, I know you're going to shut this program down, but art's still there.
Right. So I did the first book, crowdfunded it, Kickstarter, I think, or something like that.
How'd that work out?
It worked great. Got it printed. I was close. I had to throw in a few bucks. Had to go to the bank, and but the majority of it was paid.
Gotcha.
Super great response. So I put everybody's name, and it was it was paperback and it was stapled, and but the colors looked great. Yeah. It wasn't the most hardy book. I did the best I could. Don't know anything about publishing, don't know anything about marketing or publishing or where to even go. But anyway, long story short, everybody showed up, donated, got the first book done. I put everybody's names in it who donated, and had a super good response. And then I had email at this time. So
AOL
So people started going, where's book 2? Are you going to do a book 2? And I thought, well, I wasn't going to really. I like drawing the character. It was fun. So I'm like, yeah, I'll do a book 2. Why not?
And this is where you start just kind of pulling the lens back and getting a wider view of Rhodey's.
Rhodey's jumping out of the pickup.
World. Yeah.
He's getting out, and I'm just going to start telling like stories that I know.
The Fraggles finally made it up on ground and
the Fraggles
the world. Hey, we've dated ourselves this whole thing. Might as well keep going.
Remember Oingo Boingo?
Oh yeah.
No.
Oh yeah. I listened to him on the way here.
I did too. Honestly, I listened to Van Halen. I'll wait, but it's the cover of the kid smoking a cigarette. Yeah. The angel.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this sounds good. I'm going to play this. Because I'm 800 years old. And kids, ask your grandparents about Van Halen.
Carrick had to listen for 3.5 hours each way to Bruce Hornsby, Steve Winwood.
Jesus. Why would you do that to him?
So great. Because we're back in the high life again, Scott. Like,
yes, we are.
We are back in the high life again.
Steve Winwood.
So anyway.
Bless your heart.
So you're pulling back the lens on Rhodey's, you're showing more of Rhodey's life, and that kind of took wheels. And at what point did you start? Because everybody that I talked to, and it just happened an hour ago when we were talking to the folks from 4-H that came by. Because, by the way, Ace the Bison, Scott's a huge 4-H guy. I wasn't a 4-H kid. I should have been. I wish I would have been. Maybe I shouldn't have been, but I wish I would have been. But $1 from the book of every book goes directly to the Sheridan County 4-H from book 1.
Ace the Bison.
Book 2 is coming out soon. And that's going to go to something else. I'm not going to give that away. We want to finish this project before we talk about it, but it's special to a special group of people who work their butts off most of the year to keep a lot of us safe. That'll be incorporated. But your books, at that point, you're starting to rock and roll. But what I was saying is 90% of the people that meet me or know your name or already knew your name way before you and I met have bought a book from you at some kind of stock show or fair or so. You go from your experience with, say, Learning Tree, and I'm not saying that shaped everything, but you go from figuring out how to go from a paperback to a hardback to making your books. Now you're out selling them traditionally in the American way. Not that selling them through a publisher or something is not the American way, but you're literally on the weekends taking your family, going to a stock show, setting up a booth, and selling books to people firsthand, which I love.
Yeah.
That's where I would want to buy a book from somebody who actually wrote it, who actually illustrated it right out of their hand. Keep in mind, we do sell stuff online, but if I had it my way, I'd want to meet you. I'd want to meet the guy that made the book that I bought. And
Exactly.
That I like.
So the plan was with all that. Okay, I'm working. I'm at another job in Newcastle. I'm working for the highway department. All very good jobs, but me being me, So I come out with the first 2 books working for the highway department. I get on with the refinery. Awesome job, great job, highly coveted in Newcastle.
Yeah.
Great paying job, good job. So I come out with book 3, and I'm like, man, I'm spending these weekends. I'm taking a Friday off here, Friday off there to go to these shows, and I'm talking to people, and I'm talking to kids, and I got the 3 books. I'm like, man, if I could just do that, and I'm between you and me and the tax man, I'm making pretty good money. These 2-3 days selling books.
Yeah.
I'm extremely lucky, but I totally want to, and I don't want to say grassroots. I don't want to sound douchey, but I want to do like a grassroots. I wanted people to talk to me. I wanted kids to see me so I could talk to them. And then I wanted to go to all these shows every year and have a new book, and then have those same people come back, maybe bring some people. And then every year, have a new book.
We loved book number 1.
Where's the new book?
What's Rhodey up to now?
Right here.
Boom. Yeah.
So that was the plan. And it just went better than I could imagine. We have our first baby by then. So I quit the refinery. I got book 4 done, printed. I got 4 books.
Which this is not, now that I know that we've done this, or I've joined you in this journey, or I should say you've been kind enough to help me with this, but now looking at it, it's not cheap.
No.
Because your time at some point, and you're not a 20-year-old college student or a 20-year-old kid who's trying to write her own comic book. Your time, and I talk to people all the time about this, what is an hour of your life worth to you? And it's probably not $10 an hour.
Right.
Your life at this point, making a book like this is not, it's not super expensive, but it's not cheap. You're spending, ultimately, to get a book published, not published, but finished, edited, finished, you're spending thousands or tens of thousands of dollars to do that. And then you got to sell it.
Easily.
So
then you got to go around.
Yeah.
So we have a discussion at my house.
Uh-oh.
And I'm like, well, if I'm going to do this, I got to go as many shows as I can. And we did the numbers. The numbers were good. And so that first year, great. We have another baby.
Was that your full-time job that year?
It was my full-time job. I quit the refinery. I was selling books full-time. Going to different shows, stock shows, Montana, Colorado, North, South Dakota, Nebraska. Just every show I can go to. Any spring fling in the park, everything. Throw everything under my tonneau cover, my pickup, off I'd go. Sleep in my pickup. I don't think, if it was the summer, I definitely never stayed in a hotel. I never stayed in a hotel unless I absolutely had to.
Camping
trucking it, or just sleeping in my, I got a crew cab, sleep in the back.
Rest stop bathrooms, whatever it was.
Whatever. Yeah. So, So doing that, spending as little money as I can, starving.
Yeah.
I mean, not like on some Messiah or something. I'm making all these sacrifices, but I'm not spending any money.
Yeah.
I'm spending money on fuel. I'm spending money on my booth space. I might buy an Indian taco at one of these fairs or something, that'd be it for the day. But anyway, I'm not complaining. I go to Whitefish, which is like 12 hours from me in Newcastle. I go to Minot, North Dakota, and that, so we're doing great. And we have another baby. I don't know how it keeps happening, but another baby. What is happening here?
Maybe you should make a book about that.
So my profit margins kind of go like this, and they're going a little like this. So I get my next book out, and I'm like, I'm probably gonna have to pick up some work, huh? And so I had to put the kibosh to go into as many shows, which this last year. It's horrible. Everything shut down. They weren't having any trade shows or anything like that. But it's lucky I had a job. It's lucky I got on with shout out to Hurricane Trucking in Newcastle, Wyoming.
Hey now, Hurricane Trucking. Hey now.
So I had gotten on with them before all this COVID stuff happened.
Yeah.
So, but I was still selling books, but I had to pick up something.
Well, that's one thing that didn't shut down is trucking in this country.
Exactly.
Thank God for truckers. And I can't say it enough. Like, people bitch about them when you're driving 90 miles an hour and it's raining there in front of you. But, man, this country would have shut down without truckers this year. Like, it would anyway. But this year specifically, man, thank God for truckers in every industry in this country. Thank God for truckers. This 2020 and coming into 2021, man, half the stuff that's on your table in your house that you use every day is coming from truckers.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry.
Good.
Snowman. Snowman.
I went into a deep Jerry Reed dive on the YouTube the other day. Oh, he's the best.
Great.
Good Georgia. Another Georgia guy.
Good singer, too.
He's a picker. I mean, you've seen him play the guitar.
Oh, yeah.
So basically what I'm saying is I was lucky enough for about 3 years doing this full time, taking them around selling.
Yeah.
We were doing great. I was bringing in more money than I ever had working full time, miserable, working for somebody else. But 3 kids now.
Skills to pay the bills.
Man, taxes. They killed me on taxes.
What's the deal with taxes?
Especially when you're doing your own thing.
Stop? When is that
What is the deal with taxes?
What is the deal with taxes? When are the taxes going to stop? Stop paying the taxes.
Stop with the taxes.
Yeah, don't rush the Capitol building. Go to the IRS. Start there. Wait a minute. I got to be careful.
Taxation is theft.
That was entirally a joke. If
Shout
the
out
IRS
to
is listening to me right now.
Yeah,
Do not audit.
Well, to go back, I paid my taxes.
Yeah.
Always try to do that as best I can. All my receipts.
You got to.
So anyway, I had to pick up another job because you're traveling around. And of course, I got 3 kids at home now. I got to stay home.
Yeah.
I got to be home. It was great. I got a pretty good following built up. So I'm like, I'm going to take on it. I've kept my CDL through. I think I got my CDL when I was 22 years old. Been lucky enough to keep it. Always held on to it, whether I was driving or not. Always just, I'm going to keep this, It's a good thing because I got in with these guys. Shout out to Hurricane. So, and then, and all this COVID stuff happened. So I was extremely lucky to have a job. So, and, so we're still plugging away.
And you recently have reproduced all your books that you had sold out of. But they're all back.
Yep.
Where can people find your books?
RoadieTheRanchDog.com.
Roadie the Ranch, just like it sounds.
I lied. Roadie Ranch Dog. Somebody in California, some numbskull has RoadieTheRanchDog.com.
Let's fix that. Let's fix that. Let's get a campaign to get Roadie the Ranch Dog for you.
Hashtag free the.
There's probably somebody who's made 3 posts in 21 years, and it's a dog that doesn't even exist anymore.
He probably thinks I'm some famous author. He's like, he doesn't have this yet?
This guy's going to buy it from me for $100,000.
Little does he know.
So
it's RoadieRanchDog.com.
Roadie Ranch Dog.
Or go to Instagram, Roadie the Ranch Dog, and just click on a link.
You got to go potty.
Or Facebook, Roadie the Ranch Dog on Facebook. But RoadieRanchDog.com will take you right to my site. So we'll see.
And you and I have talked. We're going to try it. We're not going to try. We're going to get the books in the store here in Sheridan and Texas. Once that store opens next month, we'll get the books in the store to buy.
Sweet.
If you're in the shop. And I don't want to plug this one too much.
Because I'm super proud of that.
I know you are.
And this wouldn't happen.
And I am more proud of this than
it wasn't for you.
I say this, Bison Union, everything I've done, I'm more proud of the bison that I own and this than anything else in the world. I just am. Like this to me, Rhodey, the ranch dog, your books are amazing. This is amazing, and you put in the bulk of the work. Having an idea and telling a story is one thing, but illustrating, you and I have had this. I've tried to draw 8 different characters because I want to start drawing in these volumes as they continue to move forward. I want to, even if it's a prairie dog or a bird in the background or a tree, I want to start illustrating some of this. But I'll tell you what, my brain to body, I literally can come up with a concept right now. If you grab a piece of paper, it's like when you were here signing some of these books, I'd sign 7 or 8 books. And in that time you're drawing Ace and signing it too. My brain, I'll get there, it's some muscle memory, but man, I'm the worst illustrator, artist, whatever, doodler in the entire world. So I respect what you do. I respect what artists do. But this book to me is special, and you get it. I get it. I can only imagine what you get with Rhodey, but I don't think there's anything cooler that I've ever done with Bison Union or Bison Union Coffee than having somebody that's a customer of ours send me a video of a Christmas tree or at 9 o'clock at night of a video of them reading Ace the Bison to their kids, and their kids just fascinated. Well, look at the eagle. Look at what's a bison? I want to go see a bison. And they're sending me these videos, and it comes in regularly. Now, we don't push the book a whole lot because I want it, that word you used, organic. I don't want this to be a salesy. I want people to find it. It's like walking by a stock show booth and going, oh, man, what's that? What is Rhodey the Ranch Dog? But to me, this is one of the most, it's one of my favorite things that I've ever done in my entire life, and it's just starting. You and I have had a lot of ideas. Number 2 hopefully will come out this year. I think it'll be this year for sure. But continuing with Ace the Bison and watching Ace's journey and his interaction with anything that a bison calf in the wild would interact with. But it's important to also tell stories and lessons, and I think we've got some good ideas. And I think, for me, again, people reading this. So anyway, that's that. And more, 4-H, there's a logo on the back of the book. We will continue to post. If we make a donation, we'll post it. We'll take photos with them. We want people to know that, the majority of this book goes to the cost of recouping our money from making this book and then taking the rest of that money and making more books and donating a portion of that. We will always, I think we've agreed on that, we will always donate a portion of our book to whatever that book, some kind of theme or concept of that book, and it will change. Yeah. But anyway, I can't thank you enough for what you've done for me. This project is way more important to me than I think anybody knows. For me, I'm trying to get away from my personal social media. I'm trying to kill my ego a little bit. I'm trying to find things that make me happy. This makes me happy. If I can draw a prairie dog or start there and you give me the okay and you don't go, okay, we're going to change everything except this eyeball you drew.
Prairie dogs don't have horns.
Yeah, jackalope. Oh, jackalope. But anyway, I think if you're out there, this isn't just about selling books. I think the overarching theme of this podcast, which I'm so glad you came on because I knew it going that direction, is, man, it doesn't matter if you're a truck driver, if you're a brain surgeon. It just doesn't matter. If you have a passion and you have something you do, whether it's art or woodwork, and I say this all the time, fly fishing, it doesn't matter. You like working with flowers. Take some time and put some energy towards that if it makes you happy. Don't put it off and say, I'm not that good at this, or I'm not. It doesn't matter. If you think it's good, if your wife thinks it's good, if your family and friends think it's good, and just personally, if you think it's good, man, put some time and energy into it. If you make soap, chocolate, books, art, man, try and figure out a way to take something that you love doing and paying for itself, and then also maybe giving you some money and some leeway to go hike with your kids on the weekend. Am I wrong? Like Nailed it. I'm really glad you came on. I will do everything I can to get you back on. This is the most fun I've had in a while. Like
I don't even know what happened.
I don't either.
What time is it?
I don't either. But we got
What did I say?
Carrick's a serious guy, and he's been laughing the whole time.
Did I say
back
anything?
here. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh,
but
listen,
Scott,
I know you're closing up and stuff, but man, I love you, buddy.
I love you too, man.
This is awesome.
I really
love
do.
this.
And I do. Go ahead. Like
I just never thought a million years. I mean, how would you and I ever meet? You know what I mean? Over Instagram. I did a couple cartoons, tagged in them. You're like, hey, can I call you? And you're like, holy shit.
I think I got on the
Bert
phone.
Coos supposed to call me. You called me. Like, what's this all about? What do you want to do? You want to do a book? And I'm like, yes, please.
And
you're like, okay, let's do this.
I just had a
Come
weird,
to Sheridan.
You know, I just pictured a guy living in a cabin in the mountains, you know, in the middle of nowhere that was, you know, it just, man, the first time I talked to you, it was just so awesome. And from then I got off the phone and I was literally like, man, this guy's great. Like, this is the kind of person that I want to do stuff with, because you and I do the same thing. It's like, man, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter to me. Where's this? What do you want to do here? Doesn't matter. Let's just work it out. Like, you know, and
we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out, and that's okay.
We'll handle it.
People are so precise and they're so calculated these days. This happened from like not being calculated at all. This happened from just having fun and just talking and going, man, I would like that. Would you like that? Yeah, let's do it.
For sure.
So, Scott, I love you, brother. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, buddy.
We'll have you back on again. And again, if you guys bought the Ace book because you saw it on Bison Union stuff from mine, please divert some of your time 5 minutes over to Rhodey the Ranch Dog and check out Scott's, you know, his other books that started his career and started this. And I could come up with 1,000 stories or 1,000 ideas or 1,000 this and that's for a book, but the illustrator, man, the art that goes into this is what grabs me. It's grabbed me as a kid. Like you could look at pages with words on them all the time. I'm not that guy. I have to have something visual, and I don't think there's a better children's book or comic strip or artist out there in the country right now. There's people that are as good as Scott, but man, I'm going to keep building you up. As long as our relationship continues, you know, I'm going to keep embarrassing you and putting you on the spot. Go check out Rhodey the Ranch Dog. And the bigger theme of this episode, once again, if you have a passion, don't put it in a drawer and leave it there. Take it out and try and make it work for you without ruining it. You got anything you want to say?
Well said.
That's it. All right. Thanks, guys, for myself, Scott, and Carrick. Say hi to your dogs at home.
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
We're out. See ya.